Welcome, I'm Allison. Let's begin in child's pose. Bring your knees wider than your hips, your big toes toward one another. Slide your hips back toward your heels. Soften down, let your elbows rest on the mat. It might feel nice to take the elbows wide and the fingers toward one another, like a diamond shape in the arms. Let your forehead rest on the ground, or if that's not reachable today, a pillow, or stack your hands somewhere that the neck doesn't have to hold itself up. Start to breathe into your low back here. Sending breath down toward your belly so you feel the air press against your thighs as you fill up. And so you feel it soften as you breathe out. In today's flow style class, we'll focus on some hip opening. In a moment, we'll begin to move with our breath, but for now, just find this stillness and see if some breath wants to go to any place that's feeling a little tight. See if you can use your breath like a balloon to expand around those places in your hips. As the balloon deflates, imagine your exhale carrying away the tension. So it just dissolves. One more balloon breath like that. And your hands shoulder width, draw yourself onto all fours. Walk the knees under the hips, spread your fingers wide. Keep your spine parallel to the ground. Send your hips to the left, turn and look over left shoulder. Keep your upper body parallel to the ground as you send hips right and look right. Easy side to side for a couple more rounds, starting to tune into the rhythm of your breath. Exploring how the body feels. Last one. Bring your spine to neutral, hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. Drop your belly, curl your toes under. Inhale your heart between your biceps, shine forward. Exhale, curl the tailbone down, arching the back, press between your shoulder blades. Couple more, inhale, dropping the belly, letting the heart lift. Exhaling, rounding, lifting your navel to the sky, pressing the space between your shoulder blades up higher. One more, inhaling, cow pose. Exhaling, cat. Dropping the belly, lifting your heart. As you exhale, lift your knees, send your hips high, downward dog. Take a moment to settle into your dog. It might feel good to pedal your feet, bending opposite knees as you stretch the backs of the legs. So the neck is tight, give your head a gentle shake, no. Take your feet as wide as your mat. Keep your legs roughly straight. Let your hips sway side to side. Maintain connection to your breath. Soften your face and your jaw. Bring your hips to neutral. Take your feet as wide as your shoulders and parallel to one another. As you inhale, glide yourself forward, letting your hips drop toward the earth and your heart to shine in upward dog. Exhaling up and back to downward dog. 2 more like that. Inhaling, stretching front of the hip creases, front of the heart. Exhaling, feel your power pressing away from your hands. Breathe in, glide forward. Breathe out, up and back. Take a full breath. Lower one knee to the floor and then the other. I'm going to swivel to face you. You can stay facing your mat or whatever works for you. Bring your knees under each hip point so that your thigh bones are parallel to one another. Wrist creases underneath your shoulders. Keep your spine neutral. So by that I mean don't arch it, lifting your heart or your tail. Don't round it down either. It's a neutral spine. Find a long spine from your tailbone to the crown of your head. With your right foot, step your leg out to the side so that your foot comes in line with your left knee. Roll the outer edge of that right foot to the floor. Now it may not feel perfectly comfortable to go all the way to the floor, and that's okay, you don't have to. But it will be probably better feeling than having the toes flexed. So just rolling that outer edge toward the ground. From here, we'll try cat-cow again, but keep the movement micro, baby cat-cow. So gaze toward the floor and focus the movement more in your lower spine. So in your pelvis, tip your tailbone toward the sky, let your low belly drop. And as you exhale, curl the tailbone forward toward your hands, let your low belly lift up, your low back round. Inhaling, letting the belly drop, lifting the tail. Your heart might find a lift, but we're focusing the movement in the hips, curling to round as you exhale. A few more like that, getting the hang of it. Hips reaching back, tilting the tail, rocking forward and back in those hips. Stay connected to your breath. 2 more. One more, finding some freedom in those hips. Let your belly stay dropped to here, so tailbone reaches back and a little bit up toward the sky. You can stay here if this is enough, just breathing into any place that needs breath. Or walk your hands forward, keep your hips reaching back. So your hip bone stays over that bent knee. And just your upper body reaches forward and starts to fold toward the floor in puppy pose. Palms are planting. Heart is melting toward the ground. It's going to be a pretty intense pose, so come up out of it if it's a little too much. You're always in control of how far you go here. And far is not always better. Sometimes far is putting the body into a stress mode, which you don't want. You want to be able to comfortably breathe. Find that opening, the sense of relaxing that your hips are looking for. One more breath. Walk the hands back under the shoulders. Keep them walking so that you come to stand on this bent knee. Hands to hips. Take a moment to recalibrate. As you inhale, sweep your arms out and up. Go long through both sides of the waist. Exhale your left hand down to the floor, all the way it goes. I like to be on my fingertips to keep a little lift here. You can gaze to that top thumb But keep your neck neutral, gazing to the side wall. Another option is top arm can come alongside your ear, forming one line from your wrist to your ankle. Two more breaths. This deep side bend and gate pose. You got it. Inhale. Exhale that top hand to your hip. Draw your navel up and in toward your spine, toward your heart. Use that core for support as you inhale that arm all the way overhead. Exhale, send your right hand down to your leg as you find a little side bend here. And not as deep as a side bend on the other side. We're simply reaching that top arm toward the sky, finding a lot of length from your bent knee all the way up the side body into the shoulder and out the hand. Notice if you tend to put a lot of pressure in your hand that's on your straight leg, don't collapse into it. Use that for a little lift. Focus on length on your left side body. One more inhale. Exhale both hands to the hips, neutralize your spine. Excellent work. Step your knee underneath your right hip. Kneeling here, thigh bones parallel. Inhale the arms out and up overhead. As you exhale, return your palms to the floor. Come onto all fours. That tabletop pose of shoulders over wrists, knees under hips. Drop the low belly. Inhale, the heart lifts, cow pose. And exhale, round the back, cat pose. Bring your spine to neutral, pause here. Feel the sides of your neck lengthen. Long spine, tail to toes. Long spine, head to tail. Step your left foot out. Line it up with your bent knee. Roll the outer edge of that left foot toward the floor. As you inhale, gentle rocks of the pelvis, so lifting the tail toward the sky. As you exhale, curling the tailbone toward the mat. So think of baby cat-cow, micro movements here. And notice how it feels in the hips to be taking these poses with the staggered legs. You might be opening into inner thighs in a different way. Couple more breaths. Next time your belly drops, tailbone lifts, pause here. You can stay here or walk the hands forward toward puppy pose. Keep your hips reaching back instead of coming forward with the heart. Puppy pose is also called a heart melting pose, Anahatasana. So let your heart start to melt toward the floor. Softening behind the heart space as your hips keep reaching back. One more breath. Ease your hands back toward you and take your time coming to stand on that knee. Hands to hips. Take a moment here. You'll see that my knee stays underneath my hip here on this right leg. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, that right hand takes the long journey over toward the floor. Up on tented fingers, finding length out of that extended leg, your left ankle all the way up the left side body. Find a comfortable placement for your neck, maybe slightly toward the ground or toward the side wall. Your top arm can reach toward the sky or reach over your ear. Deep breaths here as we really open into the side body. A lot going on. So good. Inhale. Exhale that top hand to your hip. Pause. Draw your navel up and in. Scoop it towards your heart for support. Inhale to rise. Reach your arm overhead. Keep this length in the right side body. Exhale your left hand a little down your thigh as you find a little side bend. Remember, the goal is not to collapse into this extended leg, but to stay lifted and search for that line of energy up your right side body. Feel your energy lift as you take one more breath. Inhale, lift all the hands up toward the sky. All the hands, however many you have. And exhale, return your hands to the floor. Step your knee in underneath your hip. I'm going to turn to the side to join you here. You can stay as you are. Draw your inner thighs, inner shins, zip them up as if you have one leg. Reach your hips back towards your right foot. Draw a circle over to the left foot and then forward up the left side toward left hand, right hand, back nice and slow toward right heel. So easy circle here. A couple more in this direction. There's no wrong way to do it. Moving slow to get into those parts. Next time your hips are back toward your heels, reverse your circle. Move in connection with your breath. Return to neutral. Separate the knees as wide as your mat. Big toes together. As you inhale, drop your belly, lift your heart. So a little bit of that cow shape. As you exhale from this place, shift your hips back toward your heels. Long spine before draping your heart and your head down into child's pose. Turn the palms face up. Rest your elbows on the floor. Gesture of receiving, softening. Back to your belly breaths, breathing like a balloon down into the hips and thighs. To your glutes and low back. Two more breaths. Walk the hands back toward you. Ease yourself off your heels. Take your feet out from underneath you. Center yourself on your mat. If you've moved around like me, plant your feet as wide as your mat. Lean back so you have some space to lean your knees to one side and slowly to the other. Give a bit of a massage for your glutes. And also releasing our low back after all that hip work. Last one. Bring your knees to center. Plant your feet parallel, about as wide as your hips. Roll down to your back. Take your time. Let the back of your head rest on the mat. And take a breath here to sink into the earth. Let your spine lengthen along the ground. Find a baby tuck of your chin. So ever so slight, the chin draws toward the throat, lifting the back of the skull away from the back of the neck. That little place, the ridge of your skull, ever so slight. Walk your heels in a little closer to your seat. Press your feet into the floor. Palms face down outside your hips. Press the length of your arms into the ground. Now, if you need a visual, you can take a look at me. But once you come up into bridge pose, keep your gaze to the sky. You want the neck to stay neutral. So look at me now if you need to. And eventually turn your face to the sky. When you're ready to press into the earth, lift your hips. Bridge pose, lifting hips to form a line between shoulders and knees. Opening into the front of the hips. Option to interlace your fingers. Crawl your hands together, interlace, and press the pinky side down into the floor. Keep that chin lightly tucking towards your throat, ever so slightly. Shimmy your upper arms underneath your shoulder blades. Feel that lift across your heart space. If this feels good, you can stay. If not, you can come out of it whenever you're ready. Sometimes we clench our glutes in this shape. Cue the body to start relaxing. You can soften that a little. Give yourself a couple more breaths. Inhale. When you're ready to come down, slowly feel the shoulder blades slide apart so that each part of your vertebra can roll down to the floor. Relax here for a moment. Turn your palms face up. Send your legs long on the mat. Reach your arms overhead. Point your toes and your fingers away from one another. Exhale, release the arms down from the backs of the hands to the floor. Let the feet flop open. Let your body be held here by the earth. The bones getting heavy. The flesh softening into Shavasana. Stay in your Shavasana as long as you like. When you're ready, start to deepen your breath. And some movement with the hands and feet should be starting to wake up. And circling the wrists and the ankles. And wish your fingers push your palms to the sky as you stretch. And one foot to the floor and then the other. Ease yourself onto one side for a full breath. Carefully come back to your seat. Keep your eyes closed. Notice how you feel. Draw your palms together at your heart. Take a breath in through your nose. Open your mouth and let it go. Bow your head in a gesture of connecting body and mind. Honoring your soul, your heart, the light that you are. One more breath together, in through the nose, out the mouth. The light in me celebrates the light in me. Namaste.